gold down there, Diane. There's gold down there.
You're like their number one favorite guy. Because you won them cash. Well, last week it was the PGA Tour's team event, the Zurich Classic at New Orleans on TPC Louisiana, Elk, a course that you know very well because you helped design it with Pete Dye. And we had your illustrations and your strategy up all week. And Elk, the course certainly caused some problems for a few guys, namely Louis Oosthuizen on the 18th, the first playoff hole.
You're right, Diane. Of course, I was pulling for the Aussies, and I'm sure the South Africans wanted to win, but Louis Oosthuizen very unmistakably hit a terrible drive in the playoff into the water, as we talked about on this show, and I was lucky enough to be co-designer with Pete Dye on this course. The 18th hole is a lot of drama because the reason that Louis had a driver out was because he was trying to take advantage of that right side and try to maybe get on the green in two. So it's a good designed hole because it adds a lot of drama to the last hole.
And I think that the main theme of the week, which is just a Pete Dye trademark, is the fact that there's so much intimidation standing on the tee, and you really could see it. I mean, that hole, it's as though all you really see is water and bunkers. That was the theme for so many of the holes for the week. But as you say, it was the Aussies that did it. Marc Leishman and Cameron Smith, affectionately known as Team Mullet.
I couldn't believe the wig that Leishman put on when he went to the tee. It was so funny. And, of course, I think someone wrote on Twitter that they said a really interesting might be is if we just put Marc Leishman missing the green on all 72 holes and see how he makes par from all these different places. And I think that's what had to happen in a alternate shot, Diane. It's a very stressful format because you always have pressure on, there's pressure on you not to screw up for your partner. Cam Smith hit a couple of loose shots. Mark kept getting him out of trouble. And at the end, there was enough for them to combine together. Of course, we picked them at the beginning of the week saying the Aussies will be really hard to beat. And this particular win, Diane, may have parlayed those two into an Olympic pairing or going to the Olympics this summer, as Adam Scott has said he's taken his name off consideration for the Australian Olympics.
And also for the President's Cup as well. Trevor Immelman, the captain, he would have been watching closely because 2 years ago when we had the President's Cup, those guys were not teamed up together. So I think there's no way in the world that you could split them up now.
No, and I think, we talked about Leishman having a top five at the Masters. Cam Smith has won this tournament before. It takes a lot of courage on some of these holes to fire across at these pins, but they know their games very well. They were very comfortable with, not worrying about making mistakes. And I think that in the end, Diane, was the difference. I mean, Cam Smith, to me, is really starting to emerge. Of course, we know Leishman's been a world-class player for 10 years, but Cam Smith is very calm under pressure. His stroke almost seems to get better the more pressure he's under. He calmly knocks these putts in from 5 and 6 feet. So it was great to watch.
Yeah, well, that's Leishman's 6th win on the PGA Tour, Cameron's 3rd. And you summed it up perfectly. I mean, coming down the stretch when Cam Smith hit his tee shot in the water, Leish then chips in for birdie, which is unbelievable. So, Leishman definitely did get them out of trouble with that kind of scrambling shot, but Cam Smith on the greens, him standing over the ball with that putter, it's like he was never going to miss.
No, as I say, since the November Masters that Dustin Johnson won and Cam Smith shot 4 rounds in the 60s, he's a different player now. He's moved up a level on the tour now. Cam Smith has, of course. He's moved himself into an elite class there where he's pretty much should win a tournament every year on the tour.
Yeah. A lot of our picks did well, and the team that we said that weren't going to maybe be our favourite of Cameron Champ and Tony Finau, they were really in contention. It was almost like it was their tournament to go on and dominate into the weekend, but on Sunday really, really fell away, and it's like we saw the same old problems from both of them on the greens.
Yeah, as I said, alternate shot foursomes, as we call it, is very stressful. And when you know that your strength of your weakness of your partner, for example, you don't want to put him in that pressure all the time. And sometimes that's exactly what you do. And we saw that with them. They put themselves under a lot of pressure, and it put their weakest club in the bag under the most pressure, and it cost them. And that was that. But, Finau and Champ, excellent players. They're going to have their own day soon enough.
I know, it has to come. And it would be remiss of us not to talk more about Louis Oosthuizen and Charles Schwartzel, two very experienced players on the PGA Tour. And they're definitely going to pop up in our tour report for the Valspar this week.
Yes, we talk a lot about how do we handicap our players? How do we think about who's going to be the favorites each week? And we sort of have a model of, let's take statistics, let's take how they play on that course, and let's take current form. And let's even throw 10% more in for what we think as well. So I always like informed players, Diane. You know that very well.
All right, so a lot of names going to be thrown up in the mix. The PGA Tour is back to Florida this week for the Valspar Championship and a trip to the Snake Pit. Get in the game on the SG Tour Golf Gaming app and play 4-ball. It's a classic stroke play competition based on the aggregate scores of 4 players. Who makes your team? Well, pick 4 guys, 1 from each tier based on the current world golf rankings. Want a tip? You need 4 guys to make the cut. Get in the game on the SG Tour Golf Gaming app, available on iOS in the App Store.